Hello and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary. Hey. Hello. We just have a case of the giggles, I guess.
Backstreet Boys are always like, we're a vocal harmony group. Well, so are Mary and I.
Speaking of Backstreet Boys, I feel like we haven't talked about them enough for the last month, probably last couple weeks. And so we want to talk about them some more. But I also just want to flag that obviously last week our episode was an incredible interview with Howie DeRoe, and we have a Patreon episode about that, talking about the experience and how that happened. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. What are we talking about today?
All right, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of Backstreet Boys lore. If you've listened to any of our previous Backstreet Boys deep dives, you've probably heard us reference their 2015 documentary, Show 'Em What You're Made Of. But we've never done a dedicated episode just on Show 'Em What You're Made Of. And I feel like this documentary really deserves its flowers because over the last 2-3 years, we've gotten a lot of boy band documentaries, diving into the Lou Pearlman of it all, the history of boy bands. But Backstreet Boys started the trend a long time ago with this documentary, and it deserves some time. And here it is. So this documentary was shot over a 2-year span, and it chronicles their entire career. We get some unseen footage that we've never seen before, but it's the real plot of it is a behind-the-scenes look at the making of their 2013 album, In a World Like This. And we get some really fun concert footage, the preparation for the tour. And I feel like it's important to note that In a World Like This was Backstreet Boys' first album since This Is Us in 2009. But it's their first album as a full five-some since 2005. So it's been 7 years since all 5 of these guys have been together to record music and tour together, because the previous 2 albums were Sans Kevin Richardson, because he wanted to go be like a normal dude. The documentary touches on that. We'll get into that. But just to give you guys a sense of where we were in Backstreet Boys history when this documentary was being made, when this album was being made. Also worth noting is just the larger landscape around boy bands in the year 2013 when this album came out, when they were filming this documentary. I would say we were in a little bit of a valley in boy band hysteria and enthusiasm as a country. As much as it pains me, we just were not riding for the boy bands like we used to. So I thought that was a really interesting look. And you guys, if you've heard me talk about Nick Carter's show, I Heart Nick Carter, with his wife, Lauren, I say this all the time too. Like, I think it's so interesting to watch them when they feel like they're not on top of their game and how they refer to the phenomenon of being on top of the world and then seeing it all go away and trying to kind of claw their way back into cultural relevance and trying to hold on to the fan base that is still showing interest. I just find it really interesting. And I thought that this documentary was such an interesting peek at how they look back on their insane rise to fame and then what it looked like, the hard work that they were putting in behind the scenes to make an album together for the first time since Never Gone.
Crazy.
Insane. So how did this documentary come to be? Obviously, they're gearing up to record this new album. They wanted to make a documentary about the recording process, but then they quickly were like, oh, what if we just make it more about our career? Because we're the fucking Backstreet Boys and we should deserve a documentary, which I couldn't agree with more. They started filming this when they all moved into a house together in London in July of 2012. And it's noteworthy that it was just the 5 guys. There were no wives, no girlfriends allowed. It was just the 5 of them. We got a sneak peek into what their dynamic is like as adult men, instead of just like the fun behind the scenes, like tour bus footage that we had from Millennium and Black and Blue when they were very young. The US premiere for Show 'Em What You're Made Of was held in January of 2015. So like 3 years after it started filming, but 2 years after the album came out. I have feedback on the turnaround time here. I wish that they did it closer to the album coming out. So maybe there could have been a little bit more hysteria around the album In a World Like This. But it was really great to see them get support from some of their industry peers. At the premiere, they had Lance Bass from NSYNC. Lance always shows up for the guys.
Yeah.
He was there on night 1 at Sphere We saw him at
Yeah.
the after party, which
Oh,
we loved.
yes. Wasn't he with Ashley Parker Angel?
Ashley Parker Angel was there.
Yes.
Ashley Parker Angel was not at the premiere
Okay,
of Show Me What You're
right.
Made Of. Though. It was Eric Michael Estrada from O-Town, which love. We need to ask Eric Michael about that when we get him on the pod.
Yes.
I'm manifesting that.
It's coming.
And Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees. And, you know, reviews, who needs them? The critics are going to critic. They were mixed. New York Times gave it a super negative review. Basically just calling it kind of gratuitous. But for us Backstreet Boys fans, we learned some huge revelations that we would not have otherwise known. I was shocked at some of the stuff that they decided to show us because Backstreet Boys have always been so polished and serious about the commitments that they make, the opportunities that they take. So I could not get enough of this documentary when it came out. Let's talk about the top 10 or so, maybe more moments in no particular order that we found to be just interesting, new information or fun information from this documentary.
I just wanted to ask, do you remember, did you watch this the day it came out?
I don't remember if I watched it the day it came out.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it the year it came out. I just feel like in a world like this, did it get a ton of press in my orbit? I mean, 2013, we were in college. It was our senior year of college. I think they did a cruise that year, though.
I wasn't locked in. I will be the first to admit at this time I was not locked in, but I feel like I'm making up for it now.
Yeah, we're fucking locked in now. Did you watch it when it first came out?
I don't remember that. I don't remember. I feel like I watched it years later.
Yeah. I was excited that Kevin came back. So I was like, oh my God, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
When he left the group, I was like, inconsolable.
Incomplete.
I climb the walls.
Because I miss
you. Siberia. It was dark fucking days.
Yes.
So when I heard he came back, I was like, oh my God, let's watch this fun documentary of them getting back together. And I was like, oh God,
that's not
dark.
Fun. Yeah.
It's a little dark. So let's start with our first major takeaway, which was Brian's voice. I had no idea he was having any vocal issues of any kind until this documentary dropped.
So that must have been bad for you.
I was devastated. I was tears in my eyes, devastated, because even now, hearing Brian's old speaking voice, it makes me a little emotional. It brings a tear to the eye because he can't speak the way he used to when this documentary came out. And this was the first I'd heard of Brian's vocal issues. Watching him get emotional over the issues he was having, they tackle it very early on in the documentary. Pacing is interesting. We see him with a vocal therapist, and he is talking about how his voice is his life. And this was the first time I had heard of vocal tension dysphonia, which is the tightening of the muscles around the vocal cords, which causes them not to work properly. And it's a mind-body connection versus a physical issue that can just be fixed via a procedure. Before this, I'd heard of people getting nodes and they did surgery and they were in vocal rest, like John Mayer and Adele. Julie Andrews had nodes and her surgery was not successful, so she could never sing again. So I assumed whatever issues he was having could be solved with a surgery.
Yeah.
And we quickly learned in this documentary that's not the case. It's in his own mind. And that must make it even more frustrating for him to be dealing with this. And it really was just a little knife to the heart seeing my guy so upset.
I know. I just couldn't imagine, being in his shoes and having such a gift and then all of a sudden not being able to access that gift. And I felt a lot of sympathy kind of rewatching that. And a premise of this documentary is that they go back to their hometowns and they visit wherever all the guys are, from and where they came from. And so one of the first places we go is Brian's high school in Lexington, Kentucky. And I thought it was really special seeing him reunite with his chorus teacher. And the chorus teacher literally recalled realizing that Brian had such a gift. And he described it as a clear, pure, heavenly sound. And he was like, I told him you could make a lot of money with that gift. And so again, I think it's a really somber and sad moment.
Brian. All right. Anything else to say about this takeaway, Mare, before we move into the next one?
No, let's move into the next one, which is when Nick does his home visit, and he has a, kind of a breakdown recalling some memories from his past. So when we do Nick's home visit, he first takes us to his former dance studio in Tampa, and we meet some of his old dance teachers. I am 99% sure I met the woman that's featured in this, Sandy, at his solo tour stop a few years ago in Tampa. She sat right next to me. She told me she was Nick's dance teacher. I'm pretty sure she said it was Sandy. And I helped her get backstage after the show to go see him. It was so adorable. She was so proud of him. I just love seeing that they've kept these close bonds and relationships with these pivotal people in their lives. I don't talk to any of my elementary school teachers. Do you? No. They'd be like, who are you? So I don't know. But so they go to this dance studio and they teach Backstreet's Back to the young students that are in class there that day, which is really cute. But none of them know the dance because they're too young.
Can you imagine learning the everybody dance with the Backstreet Boys?
They seemed pretty unfazed because I think they were just too young.
Also, Nick called it Backstreet's Back.
I feel
do you not know the name of your own song?
I feel like I call it that too. I don't know.
I know. I get it. We all knew what he was talking about.
Yes. And then another part of Nick's home visit, we actually go back to his street that he grew up on. We see his childhood home. Here, Nick gets emotional. He reflects on how terrible it was growing up in that house. He described it as a house full of fear. He references gun violence, and all the people that he grew up with basically ended up dead or in prison. In between tears, he's basically that so easily could have been me. And so that's pretty harrowing. We all know that Nick did not have a great upbringing, but it's sad to kind of see him processing that. They then go to his old elementary school, Miles Elementary. Fun fact, I live in Tampa now, and I looked it up, and it still exists. Miles Elementary is still up and running, and it's literally only 20 minutes from where I live now. And so he's really excited to see some of these old teachers, and they put on a video of Nick performing in a musical when he's just a baby. I don't know, was he maybe in first or second grade? And he was just so cute and little, and so incredibly talented, when he was singing. I shouldn't be surprised, but it's just such a voice coming from such a little kid. And he's oh, this was the only way I could get attention. I was such a nerd in school. I was always picked on, and my voice was the only way I could get people to pay attention to me. And I was boo, I would have had a crush on you. You were the cutest little kid. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
His teacher even kind of pushed back on that a little.
Yeah, come on.
What do you mean? He was no, I did.
Sure.
Singing Phantom of the Opera.
In his little tails.
And he's oh, I had such a crush on that girl. It's so cute. And then Nick has this huge breakdown in this classroom. It's really hard to watch. You can just tell his teacher was who he felt safe with. That school was probably a haven for him in so many ways. So we see him have this breakdown. He gets really emotional. Kevin gets very emotional watching this happen too. It's just a really sweet moment. Hard to watch, but a sweet moment. And then we see him later posing for photos with students. And you can tell this guy was just crying.
Crying, yes.
Tears in his eyes, but he's smiling
Still.
at these photos with these kids. And I just felt that was a choice by the filmmaker to show that's what their entire lives have been.
Yeah.
Ryan had open heart surgery, and they didn't let him take any time off. They didn't move any tours. Nick is dealing with clearly some personal issues, and he's still out there posing for fans with tears in his eyes. The machine stops for nobody, whether you're a Backstreet Boy or not. And I just thought that was a very telling choice. Contrast that moment of him having that moment in the classroom, then going to pose with fans like nothing happened.
I picked up on that right away too. I was oh my gosh, this is crazy. Something else about Nick that I specifically learned from this documentary was the fact that he was given the choice of either going the direction of the Mickey Mouse Club or joining up with Lou Pearlman for the Backstreet Boys. And, he had a $50,000 contract opportunity with Mickey Mouse, but he ended up, choosing not going with the sure thing and joining the Backstreet Boys. And Like, I'm glad his mom didn't like pressure him into taking the check. I just would have expected that to be kind of the dictator of what path he took. But 11-year-old Nick should not have been left with that decision or tasked with that decision. And just, I remember learning that in the documentary. It made my tummy hurt. I was like picking dolls at 11. You know, like I was picking if I was doing, like ballet or tap, you know, like it just, so that's a lot to have on your shoulders at such a young age.
And he's even like, I don't know who would do that. He's very open about being estranged from his parents. It was clear just how sad he was.
Well, should we pivot to number 3, some anger and more feelings?
Hey, if anyone hasn't seen this documentary, you're probably like, what the fuck is this? Why is this so dark? But it was very real. And that's why I think I was so surprised watching it, because we have never had this kind of access.
Look in,
No. So I was shocked that they showed us this level.
Yes, the Nick and Brian argument at the record label or the business meeting, whatever that was. My first note is, aren't we a little surprised this made the documentary? Like, they could have so very easily left this on the cutting room floor and we would have had no idea. But this is like a viral clip now. Like, people that know I like the Backstreet Boys will like DM me this clip. Like, have you seen this? It's like, yeah, I've only seen it 100 frickin' times. But let's set the backstory. Backstreet Boys is meeting with management to go over and pick out songs for In a World Like This. We can tell tensions are high already. And just remember the complicated history with Brian and Nick. They were both kind of like competing for leads, but they were also like best friends forever. And for a period of time, Brian was also Nick's legal guardian back in the early days, which is also an interesting dynamic to throw into that mix. And so we literally like kind of cut into the scene where Nick's screaming, "Don't be a fucking dick like everyone knows you are. I'm not afraid of you anymore."
I gotta be honest, I was on Nick's side the first time I saw this. And can I tell you why?
Yeah.
So, well, first, I love that Nick calls everyone baby. In this documentary.
I do too.
He's always mad. And he's like, "You don't want it from me, baby." And like, later, he's fighting with Kevin. And he's like, "I'm here.
I'm here, baby.
I'm here, baby." And now everyone says that. So I just think he's
so funny.
But yeah, Nick had beef with everyone at one point in the documentary. It was funny. And then Howie's like making fun of AJ the entire time. Which is this, I digress, but Howie was hilarious in this documentary.
Yes.
So back to Nick and Brian, they start screaming at each other and Nick is like, "Trust me, baby. You don't want it from me, baby." He's like, "What about your vocals? Are we going to talk about that? Are we going to talk about that?" And then Brian goes, "Yeah, because I can't do your job anymore." What the hell was that?
I know.
What the hell was that, Brian? That was not nice and uncalled for. And then everyone is like, on Nick, and they're like, "Nick, calm down." And I'm like, wait a second, Brian needs to apologize for that comment. Like, that would make anyone upset.
Yeah.
And egging him on.
I mean, I'm obviously team Nick in any argument or discussion, so I'm not disagreeing. Brad and I rewatched it this weekend, and I was like, I just feel like there's things that we probably didn't see.
Oh, of course.
You know, and so
get to that point.
Right. And so I'm sure Nick was no angel in that conversation, but I completely agree. It was, again, like, why are we seeing this? Like, was this an accident? Like, did they forget to cut it out? Like,
I thought it was amazing, though. And I thought it showed the dynamic of the group. You know, Kevin did a great job de-escalating the situation.
Of course.
Everyone was trying to be like, "Nick, calm down. Nick, sit down." And he's like, "I don't want to sit down."
Yeah, he's like,
"Stand up." Kevin did a great job. He was like, "Okay, you guys are fighting about two very different things right now. First is this competition between you guys for lead vocals. Second is concern around Brian's voice because he doesn't want to talk about it." Yeah. And it sounded like everyone on the group was kind of walking on eggshells around Brian's vocal issues. Brian was like, "Well, we're in a group and I'm a part of this group, so you're going to have to like deal with it." And it sounded like there wasn't a lot of transparency around what was happening. It was interesting to hear Kevin's perspective of like breaking it down. You see Kevin kind of being like the big brother of the group.
Yeah.
Taking the two younger siblings to either side of the room and talking them down. It ended on a loving note. It very much felt like a family argument. Like, my sister and I thought the exact same way, but we never apologized.
Yeah. And, Nick seemed to kind of calm. Nick was animated. He was standing up, waving his hands. Brian stays seated the whole time. But at the end, Nick sat down and he's like, Brian, I want you to get better. Like, I support you. I know you have to do this for you. I miss the Jordan to my Pippen. And I thought that was a big statement coming from Nick, referring to Brian as Jordan, kind of putting him as the number one spot. And he's like, I want that back. And I know you can get it back. And, watching this 11 years removed, it's kind of sad,
Yeah. But Brian still sings live. Like, they haven't given his parts away. Howie recently addressed this on Lady Gang. They asked that question, like, how are they dealing with it? And
they went right into it.
We all have egos and we don't want to like give up our parts. And I just thought that was such an interesting look at that meeting. And like, we never would have been around that table in that room normally. So juicy stuff.
I also never recognized Jen until rewatching that.
She's so cute.
She's in the middle of it. She's right there. I was like, oh my God.
She's like, Nick, stop. And he's
stop,
like,
Nick.
Stop. He's really activated. But like, I'm even too.
Activated.
I make this. I know. Sorry. Still in Summer House. He with Lindsay Hubbard.
Yes.
I don't know. I just feel like this documentary gave me so much more empathy for each member because we got to hear about their past in their own words, their experience in their own words. It's rare in an interview that all of them get equal airtime. So I thought they did a really good job trying to be super intentional and making sure each guy got to say his piece and got to share his own story that humanized them. And it just felt like they were just humble, normal guys who were like, I wonder if this is going to work.
Yeah, such a good point. Let's move on to number 4. The amount of old footage that we get in this documentary is a gift in itself. We get some of my favorite footage of all time that I had never seen before this doc. The guys are like standing by school buses and there's girls in the school buses and they're kind of like hanging out the school bus window listening to them. And they're singing an a cappella version of Shy's Baby I'm Yours. And I lose my mind. They sound so good. They sound perfect. Nick is a baby, but they're all babies. I just can't take it. I can't. Like, that's like one of my favorite clips of them of all time.
There's all these clips of them performing at high school gyms. We see them rehearsing in a storage container. And they were such good dancers. I feel like they don't get enough credit for all the amazing dancing that they did. And I even noticed NSYNC did some similar moves to the Backstreet Boys' original choreo in that storage container. And I think that was a deliberate choice by the editor. But there's this one clip of them performing at a high school gym, and Brian goes out into the crowd and holds a girl's hand. Let me tell you, if that was me, I would not be here to tell the tale. I would have died in that moment on the spot. I just can't believe the riz that they had. He was 19 years old.
Oh my gosh. I know. That was my first note. Like, Kelsey, could you imagine if we were in high school and we're so lucky enough to be graced with one of these high school my high school would have never booked them.
No way.
But like, I wish they would. Like, insane.
We would have been insufferable.
It's probably good they didn't, and we weren't old enough.
No, like, thank God that we had.
No, seriously. And they tell the story about how at one of the shows, like, their sound system went out and they started getting booed. And Brian kind of was like, all right, like, give us a second. And they like kind of shushed the booing crowd down, and they came together and just sang every a cappella cover that they knew and shut everybody up. And I mean, I think that just speaks to the Backstreet Boys. Like, they still can just get together and start snapping their fingers and burst into an a cappella rendition and sound incredible. And that's why they're so special. We also get, they talk about Black and Blue. They talk about Millennium. We get a lot of footage from those eras. But obviously, they spend a lot of time talking about Millennium and how the tour and the album broke all sorts of records. And we see lots of old tour footage from Millennium. We get hoverboard footage, and seeing all that footage from Millennium, it just got my brain percolating a little bit. Like, what is to come in Germany and beyond? Like, I see the hoverboards returning. I could see other stunt elements of that tour returning. Just seeing the old tour made me really excited to see kind of what's to come and how they're going to modernize it outside of the sphere.
Oh my God. I can't imagine them going out on the wires again, though, like over the crowd and singing.
Brian would never.
Right. Isn't he super afraid of heights? But he did it at one point.
I know, but I feel like these things get harder when you're older to suck it. I mean, I'm not blaming it. It'd be harder for me too. But he does the spaceship, so I guess you never know.
Oh my God. I will die if they do that in Germany and I'm not there.
No, that's going to be a tough morning after to look and see the concert footage.
I will be on the next flight to Germany. Hello, Dusseldorf. Guten Tag, Dusseldorf.
Oh my God.
I'm here. I just renewed my passport.
She's back.
I'm ready for a stamp. I'm back. Did you miss us? Okay, let's talk about our next moment, which is just getting a behind-the-scenes look at In a World Like This tour prep. We've never really gotten to see their rehearsals like this before. There's anxiety about bringing back original choreo that they haven't done in 15 years, aka the larger-than-life dance break.
I love it. Love seeing that 10 years ago. They're hitting it all, hitting all the marks, hitting all the moves.
All the marks.
Mm-hmm.
AJ's complaining about his knees earlier in the documentary. I'm like, I can't tell that anything is wrong with you because they are dancing their little butts off. They did such an amazing job. And then we see them, a little snippy with each other. This is when Kevin is pissed that they're behind schedule. Also, we need to give Howie the Calm, Cool, and Collected award.
Always.
He is so just even measured. He's talking to their choreographer. I think it was their choreographer. And he was like, hey, I just feel like we're a little behind schedule here. What do you feel? He was
what's the vibe?
I hate to tell you, but we are way behind schedule. And then Kevin gets upset and he's like, it pisses me off. Kevin's like, we're behind schedule. We need to rehearse on Saturdays, all day Saturdays. And Nick is like, I'm here, baby. I'm here. Again, we are entering the room halfway through the argument because it seems like they were maybe mad at Nick for not wanting to rehearse on a Saturday.
Yeah, we missed something.
When they were coming down on Nick. And he's like, well, I'm here, aren't I? I get that. I was just really surprised that they showed the good, the bad, the ugly of these rehearsals. They are sweaty. They are irritated. They look like someone who's been locked in a rehearsal room for hours on end, for weeks on end. And it just feels so real.
Yeah, getting those kind of behind the curtain looks are some of my favorite moments. That's a great call out. Moving on to number 6, let's talk about Howie, sweet Howie D. We get some more about Howie's story. At least I think for us, this was new information at the time. First, we see Howie laying down some incredibly stunning vocals. I think it was for Trust Me.
You got to trust me.
Let me tell you about this girl I know. I think there's that part. I don't know. We get a couple clips of him recording vocals. He just sounds so good. And he gets very candid in his confessional. He reveals that he kind of resented the situation of when he was kind of pushed in the background when Max Martin took over the sound of the group. It wasn't really Howie's sound as much. And so he's more of a crooner, you guys. Howie Sweet D is a crooner, not a kind of guy. And so I totally understand why there would be resentment there. And he said with this record, he decided to put his foot down. He made it clear that he wanted to have his voice heard just like everybody else. And he wanted to be in the front with the rest of them, not just kind of pushed to the back. And honestly, that's a fair request. It'd be one thing if this man couldn't hold a note or wasn't a strong singer or anything like that. But we all know Howie D can sing. And so I'm really proud of him for kind of finding his voice in that moment and asserting himself like that.
Justice for Howie. And this was another one of those moments where as a Backstreet Boys fan, I had no idea that he was supposed to be the voice of Backstreet Boys before Max Martin came along and started introducing those funky, as Kevin calls them, beats.
AJ called it Parliament Funk, and Brad goes, what's that? I'm like, I've never heard of such a genre in my life.
Parliament Funkadelic, an American music collective of rotating musicians headed by George Clinton.
Who's that?
In the 1960s. George Clinton is like an iconic singer.
Oh, I should know who he is, I guess.
I think he's like a big disco guy.
Oh, okay.
He revolutionized R&B in the 70s.
Oh.
He is known for leading funk bands Parliament and Funkadelic, known as P-Funk.
Interesting. Amazing.
Yeah, so Justice for Howie, there's one scene. There's so many scenes where Howie made me laugh. But there's one scene where there's like girls outside their London studio door and he like sticks his head out the window. And Howie's like talking to them and you just hear him go, AJ, I'm Howie.
I love that part.
I'm singing all the leads for this record.
It's going to be really good.
AJ, I'm Howie. God, it was so cute.
Love him so much.
And then we get to go to his house in Orlando, his childhood home. And he tells the sweetest story about, being there and how Nick would always come over and spend a lot of time at his house. It just sounded like they really grew up together in like a sweet way. And then he told this, oh my God, this messed up story where I guess he had a pet rabbit and it wasn't fixed and it kept breeding with the other rabbits like that he had. And all of a sudden they had like 1 million rabbits. So his dad was like, okay, go kill the rabbits. And poor Howie was too sweet and too sensitive. He could not kill her, even though there was one rabbit he really didn't like and it was mean. He couldn't bring himself
I know.
to do it. And I just thought that was the sweetest story ever. Justice for Howie. We also get some tea on Howie and Nick's childhood together in Orlando.
Yeah.
Nick shares that his first kiss was with Howie's niece.
I'm like, who is the niece? Let's talk to her. Let's learn more. More stories. Yeah.
She's just so cute. And Nick was like, yeah, I feel like I spent so much time at this house. And Howie was like, yeah, because you wanted to hang out with my niece.
Yeah. Classic.
So cute. It's just so cute.
I just wish we got a little more like we met AJ's teachers. We met Nick's teachers. I think we spent a lot of time at Kevin's house too and hearing his story. And I just feel like, I don't know. I'm just such a Howie defender now. I may be kind of biased, but I just feel like we could have gotten more from Howie. All right, take us to 7.
Okay, 7. This is a short but sweet one, but it was kind of like the first time we got a candid look at Kevin leaving the group and what everyone felt and what everyone thought about it. We got to hear from his own words why he left Backstreet Boys for 7 years. He said he just didn't have the passion that he used to have. He wanted to be a normal guy. And AJ shares this really sad story. He was like, we still came out with 2 albums. We went on 2 tours without Kevin. But AJ was like, just looking back and seeing only 3 guys instead of 4 just wasn't right.
Oh, I know. That moment touched me too. I also liked, Kevin having his moment and getting a bit on his backstory a little bit. We've, I think, all heard about Kevin Sr. I think that's his dad is Kevin Sr. But he was diagnosed with cancer while Kevin was in Florida, pursuing his dream. He was working at Disneyland. He was going after the Backstreet Boys thing. And apparently his family kind of kept that from him. So he wasn't worrying about his dad. And, Kevin gets very emotional when he's telling this story and recalling when he came home and saw how sick his dad was and how he gets super choked up and hugs him in this moment. And now I'm crying, seeing them cry. And it just was really touching how his dad, really encouraged him not to stay back and go back to Florida to pursue his dreams.
That part is really sad. I honestly have to fast forward.
I know. I know. It's a little much for some sensitive galleys.
And he's the first one that they really dive into. So I've seen it so many times. I can't watch it. That's also Brian's uncle. So we're just reminded again what a family they all really are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Duh. Brian, I think, was a little misty-eyed too. All right. Number 8. Writing the album, we also get some unreleased songs, some clips of unreleased songs. It's really cool to see the guys in London trying to come up with this album. They're riffing and messing around with instruments and different lyrics and harmonies. It's really cool, again, to get that peek behind the curtain of the creative side, something I don't think we had ever seen before. We get some backstory, they say 10 years ago, everybody was kind of sick of each other and everyone wanted to do their own thing. But now they're at this point where they feel like they can come together to create something. Kevin says he just wants to be proud of the music they're making and the shows they're putting on and have freaking fun. Don't forget to have fun, you guys. We see Nick, he's playing the drums. AJ's voice, AJ sounds good in this, but I still think AJ's voice has only gotten better with age. I think AJ's voice is the best it's ever been right now. And just watching this documentary from 12 years ago or whatever, I was like, wow, he sounds great here, but he sounds even better now. So it's always cool to get that kind of reminder. And we learned that this is their first album that they're doing without a record deal. Like, it's their money that they're putting into it. In the words of Sweet D, it's exciting, crazy, and scary. So we get a lot of these behind the scenes of them recording in London. In one scene, a lot of the fans were waiting for the boys to arrive at this recording session. And I was pausing and looking at the fans. I was like, I must recognize some of you by now. We must know some of these fans that were showing up at this. So were any of you in the doc? If so, please let us know. And so they go in and we see them workshopping a new song for the album. They're building melodies and lyrics. And I learned this song was called Spotlight, and it didn't make the album, is still technically an unreleased track.
So they are singing it in this documentary, and there's this line, "Why can't you see? Oh." And I was like, is this not Robin?
It is.
I'm in the corner watching you kiss. I'm right over here. Why can't you see?
You're right.
Oh. It literally is like a copy paste of that line.
And it didn't make the album, mind you.
But I loved watching them record together. There's this really cute part where they all do the chorus of Trust Me.
Yes.
And they're all standing there clapping together, and Howie and Brian are being silly. It was just really sweet. And I love seeing them with all their instruments. There's also some fun little moments sprinkled in there with when they're just living together, and Brian's making them all breakfast and they toast with mimosas or whatever. And Kevin is so funny. He's so neat. He insists making eye contact with each of them as you cheers because it's bad luck if you don't.
Yes.
And he's like, Howard.
Howard. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And Howie turns towards him and looks at him deeply to show the eye contact.
Howard.
It just made me laugh. Howard. It was just so funny. And I don't know. It's those fun little moments that are just so humanizing.
We also may get some footage of them recording Soldier. I'm not sure. But I think that this song was actually the basis for, or maybe the starting point of the huge fight discussed in number 3. Nick was sold on Soldier. He loved it. He loves the chorus. He loves the verses. Kevin, he says, you know what? I'm really sold on the message. I can get behind the lyrics of this song. Howie's like, you know what? I'm sold on the verses, but not as much the chorus. AJ was basically meh, and Brian was like, hell no, I hate the chorus of Soldier. And that's why him and Nick started originally butting heads. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Soldier made the album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
No one else can make me learn again. Oh, no, that's perfect.
I will be a soldier.
Yeah.
It's getting colder. Yeah. Brian hated that chorus, but it made it.
All right. Number 9, one of our next moments. It's a short but sweet mention, but I just had to give it to the German girlies because when they're going through their history of a band, they obviously talk about Germany and how that was where they got their start. That was the first place they ever popped off. And that's why the German girls get a special residency. I love seeing all the throwback footage of them making it big in Germany. And Howie said that they were so big there that they even had German girlfriends. They were over there so often.
I mean, I remember I screamed when Kevin said, can I have a blowjob in German in the documentary?
I cannot believe they left that in.
I know.
There are some moments where I'm like, did the PR team watch this? But I'm glad they left it in because it's more real.
What a moment. Oh my
God. Too sanitized and too polished.
Yeah.
We would have been really mad. So do not mistake us asking how these things made it in with us being upset they made it.
Yes.
We're really happy.
We love it.
Thrilled with that we got as much access and realness as we did. I just feel like today people are so worried about coming out and going on social media and being totally lost of context. And I don't think we get that kind of candidness today.
No. Incredible. All right. Let's do number 10. And then we have an honorable mention. Number 10, we get the Boston and AJ rehab story. Kelsey, I know this is traumatic for you because it happened right in Boston. And I feel like you have a fear of them disliking Boston as a
He
result.
also had an incident in Boston, didn't he?
Which one? Which incident?
I thought he also had something.
Did
like
he?
overslept and he and Kevin got in like a fist fight or something.
Oh my God. I didn't. You're probably right. No.
Like there was also a Boston story with Nick and I was like, oh God.
God, they hate it here. No. So we get into the AJ of it all during the Black and Blue tour when he was at his self-described worst. He said he was drinking on stage, rebelling against this boy band facade, and also losing sight of himself. And we get the Boston story. AJ says he was in a coke coma. He had not slept for days, and they were supposed to throw out the first pitch maybe at the Red Sox game, and he was just not waking up. He was not leaving his room. And Kevin was angry because, I mean, you couldn't have 4 Backstreet Boys like go to the Fenway and throw out a pitch and just like AJ sleep through. Like that's just like not something they could have done. It just wouldn't have been okay. And so Kevin lost his mind, ultimately ended up like kicking down AJ's door, and words were exchanged. Specifically, apparently Kevin told AJ, "You are dead to me," which is kind of hard to believe. But AJ, remains very grateful in this interview to Kevin for having that tough conversation with him. And he said that Kevin's the reason that he ultimately went to rehab. On a lighter note, I really enjoyed AJ's hometown visit. AJ's monologue. Do you know what that's from?
No.
I love that he still remembers it. He goes back to his like old classroom. His teachers are there. They're like, "Do you still know your monologue?" And he's like, "Well, and in fact, I do." So he gets an accent. He starts doing this like old, like it's like he sounds British or something, this monologue. And they put up on the screen, like in post, a video of him doing the same monologue as a kid. And it's just, he was such a cute little kid. And I can't believe he still remembers it. And Nick was like, "You should know how many girls he's used this on." And AJ'd be like, "Yeah, I'd get on the table or on the bed and I'd do the monologue." I'm like, "On the bed?" And he's like, "How'd you think I got my wife?" And I was like, "Oh, shout out to the Queen, Rochelle."
I thought it was so funny watching Nick's face watch this because he goes, "Oh my God, you just did a little hand thing and it all came back to me." So he does this like motion with his hands.
Yes.
And he's like, "Whoa, that just like brought me back in front of a bunch of girls."
I mean, it would have worked, right? Like totally would have worked.
If you were one of the girls that got this monologue, please tell us your story.
Yeah, we want to know.
Everything.
Or Rochelle, we love you in our DMs. Tell us the first time you heard this monologue, please. We also get a fun story I want to shout out as a Britney stan about AJ at a bowling alley, kind of when he was at his peak, and they were like gods, and he said they would do like naked bowling in Orlando. And it sounded like it was some pretty like rip-roaring times back in the day. And
rip-roaring.
It sounded pretty PG-13, if you will. But he told the story about how like one of his friends got like a Britney Spears doll in one of those like claw vending machines, and how like AJ just spent like all night trying to like bowl him for it and get the one for himself. I just remembered how AJ's always been a supporter of Britney. He would wear Britney shirts back in the Vegas residency and out and about when she was going through the public conservatorship battle. And I just loved seeing how AJ specifically always kind of would show out for Britney. And also, how have we never discussed the song Matches?
Because I think you know why.
It's a moment that deserves its recognition. Matches.
Just imagine the promo, like if they did it right.
I know.
Like, I know. It really upsets me. I think that's why I can't even talk about it.
It's just like
play it at every party, and people would be like, "What is this?"
Oh my God. I don't mind that. So, like
no, it's a good. It had so much potential, and it really upsets me the way her whole life has just. The things she was robbed of, the things we were robbed of. It's just so sad.
So sad. So the honorable mention, those were our, I don't want to say top 10 moments because some of them were really bad moments, but they were just like moments that we felt like deserved being talked about, having recognition. But we have an honor
to watch
the
documentary.
Yes. Honorable mention is the Lou of it all. And I think we figured we didn't need to spend a ton of time on it because Lou has literally been like beaten into the ground. Yeah, Lou Pearlman and his involvement with the boy bands. Like, I just feel like we've, as you said, gotten like 15 documentaries about Lou.
this documentary made me go down a rabbit hole on Lou Pearlman and Google him and learn how horrible he was. And he was still alive when the documentary was filmed. He was in jail while this was being filmed.
Yes. And so they actually go visit Lou's old house, and somehow they get inside. I don't know how they ended up getting inside, but Brian and Howie went in and walked around. We kind of get some backstory of how the boys learned about Lou's creation of NSYNC. You know, he created their rival, and how much of a betrayal that was. I would imagine that would have hit extra hard for Kevin. You know, the boys mentioned how Lou was truly like a surrogate father figure for Kevin, who had, just recently lost his father. They also talk about learning about Lou taking all their money. There was just one hit after the other. Like, he creates NSYNC. He's taking advantage of them and stealing their money. And now, so they have to go through this lawsuit with him and sue him and pay him like $27 million just to get him out of their lives. So it's pretty crazy. And by the way, we have an entire episode about Lou. It's like maybe our second episode. So it's back in 2023. Kelsey does a really nice deep dive on everything that Lou did that was bad, because it's more than just Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. And while we're at it, we also have a 3-part series about the Backstreet Boys where we talk about a lot of Lou and this as well. I just thought it was kind of telling that when they went to Lou's house, like, Nick wouldn't go inside, which gave me that kind of, again, that eerie, icky feeling.
Really betrayed those boys. So this documentary, you should go watch it. It's for free. It's free on YouTube.
And Prime.
No excuse. It's on Amazon Prime. No excuse to not watch it. Mary and I, when we went to the DNA show in 2021, we watched it the night before to get excited. And then it's like Kevin crying about his dad. And we're like sniffling. This is not.
Oh, God. The vibes.
And then they're screaming at each other in a conference room. We're like, okay, we forgot that there was
dark moments.
But it's real. So highly recommend it. It's a fun look at their history. Again, just watching for the old footage alone is just so awesome. So Show 'Em What You're Made Of was all in, the reason for the season was In a World Like This, their album. So I did a re-listen of In a World Like This morning. I'm curious what your general thoughts, feelings on this album are.
It's not my favorite, but there are a few gems that I will go to bat for.
Oh?
You know one of them.
Madeline.
They play it at the Sphere, which is giving me some validity, okay? I'm feeling more confident about Madeline. That means other people like it.
I like Show 'Em What You're Made Of, and Mary rolled her eyes at me when I put it on my Cancun 30 for playlist, because I just think their voices sound so beautiful. And they played it, didn't they? And they had the music video going on behind them, and they were all shirtless.
Why have I already forgotten?
Did I make that up?
No, I'm sure you didn't. I just have the memory of a goldfish.
The message is really inspirational, and I hear that song in my head when I'm going through a tough time and I need to pull myself up.
That's good.
Did I make that up, Mary?
No, I don't think so. I just don't I have a bad memory. That's why I write everything down, because I will remember.
The other reason why I feel like this album deserves more flowers than it got, and it came out July 30th, 2013. So we're at the, what anniversary?
Oh my gosh. 13. Oh yeah. 13.
Lucky 13. I just love that we get to hear all of their voices on this album. You can tell, it starts with Kevin. When does a song ever start with Kevin?
That's the good thing about this album. You're right.
We get them all. It's not the Max Martin sound that we know, but it's their sound. And I just really appreciate it. It's a quick listen. It's only 45 minutes long, start to finish. So on your hot girl walk, give In a World Like This some love, okay?
Also, In a World Like This, I think the guys have writing credits on almost every song, if not all of them. But Max Martin was on In a World Like This. That, I like Permanent Stain too. Madeline's my girl.
I like Breathe. Andreas is a collaborator on that one.
See, they're still they're involved.
I love that they all just have writing credits on it.
And it's under K-Bon, their label. It's their first K-Bon production,
Kevin,
I think.
Brian, AJ, Howie,
Nick. But we will do a separate analysis deep dive on this album track by track, I can explain to everybody why. Justice for Madeline. Also, nothing. I was going to address the Reddit comment, but I'm not going to do it.
No, go for it.
I was reading Reddit, something that Kelly Williams told me to never do, and I did it anyways. People were talking about our Never Gone episode, and someone was like, I like My Beautiful Woman, but When They Pop's episode just shat all over it. And I was texting it to Kelsey, and I said, do I not exist? All I do is talk about this song and get laughed at. Like, so dear Reddit commenter, if we didn't lose you from our Never Gone review, I will fight for My Beautiful Woman to death. So it was number 2 on my Cancun wish list with Bad Boy being ahead of it. So like, hello.
Mary loves My Beautiful Woman. So it's honestly a very balanced listening party because there are songs that I love that you don't love.
Right.
Vice versa. It was very balanced.
But I would never allowed it to be a complete shat on My Beautiful Woman. So take it back. Our DMs are open.
Like,
we can move on.
Search us on Reddit, Mary, because that's nothing I can't.
I would.
First of all, if you showed up, I wouldn't want to know what people are saying. And then if we did,
the rest of it's
I'd be
good.
really upset that we didn't show up.
The rest of it's good. Don't worry. I was like, what is this disparagement, slander, libel? Because it's not true. Ultimately, after rewatching this doc for the umpteenth time, what I was left with was, I think it's time for a new Backstreet Boys documentary, maybe surrounding, what the exciting stuff they've been working on this last year.
Sphere.
I mean, what a time that would be a great documentary, seeing what went into the Sphere.
30th anniversary. So
yes,
well, like this was their 20th, but the world wasn't ready for the Backstreet Boys comeback that they're having right now.
Right.
They are in a true renaissance. So I hope that someone's got a camcorder. I hope someone's interviewing them.
I hope
They're
so.
getting amazing stories. And I hope that they bring this to IMAX theaters because I will buy every
We'll be there every day. Yeah. We'll buy it out. We'll rent out the theater.
A special screening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sign us up.
We'll have a pink carpet.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, the hot pink. The clothes in this document were killing me. I love hot pink.
Oh my gosh.
In this era.
They still work in some hot pink too.
No, at this point, they have their pink moment.
Yes.
Well, you guys, we've rambled enough about Backstreet Boys. What a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sticking with us if you've made it this far.
Wow.
If you are that Reddit commenter, I'm sorry I don't like My Beautiful Woman, but Mary really, really does.
I will, and I'll fight for it.
We all have different preferences. And I will not yuck your yum. That being said, if you liked this yum, make sure you leave us all the stars and a nice comment and say something nice about us on Reddit or
or say nothing.
Next time she's up late at night and needs something to stew over.
I've been stewing.
She is stewing. It's been days and this is still top of mind for her. So why don't you leave a positive comment and say, Mary loves My Beautiful Woman.
Facts.
And you are all beautiful women for listening to us, and beautiful men, because there are a
few of you out there.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We so appreciate your support. Catch you next time.
Bye.